Hi again, welcome to another video, and in today's video, behind the camera, you'll see it in a minute, is a Ryobi Hedge trimmer. I think it's probably just got carb issues. I wasn't going to do anything with it because it's Ryobi and I don't usually mess around with that stuff because it's usually low end. But this I think is an earlier one because it reminds me much of like the Tanaka and Makita and Robin. It's similar sort of to that, so I think it's an earlier, better one. So I'm going to have a look at it. I had lost the air filter cover, but I managed to find it, so it's complete. So I think it's worth having a look at. I'll do my preliminary checks. I'll take the exhaust off and the carb off and check the piston, and if that's all good, then I'll continue and sort the carb out, put a new carb, diaphragm gasket in, and clean it out. And I notice the primer bulb's all broken up, which in a way is quite a good sign, because that might be why it was thrown away with the job lot. So it might have just been that, but everything will have a good clean down, check over, and obviously I've got to check the blades and all that work as well. So yeah, could make a good little hedge trimmer. It's quite lightweight, and I think it's worth trying to save. If this is the first time you've been to my channel, please consider subscribing, liking my video, and underneath in the comments is the link to my Amazon wish list. So if you wish to buy me something, it would be really nice. It'd be much appreciated. So yeah, what I'm going to do is actually turn you around and we'll look at this hedge trimmer, and then I'll start dismantling it to have a look at what the piston's like initially, and then we'll go on from there. So I'll see you in a second. So here it is on the bench, the Ryobi Hedge trimmer. It says powered by Maruyama, and it actually says there, see Japan there, 2004. So yeah, it's quite an old machine, but yeah, I think it looks okay. I think it looks a pretty sturdy one. I've seen, you know, some Ryobi ones that look a lot cheaper than this, but yeah, this doesn't look a bad machine. And that carb setup, like I said, is much the same as on the older Makitas and Robin and that. So what I'm going to do first is take that carb off. I'll probably take the carb off first, and then exhaust the other side, just so I can check the piston, and you can watch me do that. The only thing possible, the blades might not turn round. I could take the bottom off and check that, but I'll just see if the engine's good for a start and then go from there. But hopefully this one can be saved, and yeah, it'll make a good little hedge car. Yeah, so usually I take the exhaust off first, but on this one, just because it's turned around this way, I'm going to take the carburetor off first. It's it doesn't matter, I would have took that off anyway, but you can see it's extremely mucky under there. I found this when I picked it up. Some stuff come in boxes as well, and this was in a box, and you can just see how horrible it is. So the air filter was absolutely disgusting and like deteriorated. Look at that. So that's might as well go straight in the bin. I think I have got some spare ones of these. If not, I'll have to purchase one. All it is two like Allen ends. I'll just grab a tool for that. Yep, so I grab my little Irwin Allen T-bar type thing, and we'll get that unscrewed. There's only two on here, just two to I think the rest will come off. It's got to disconnect the throttle cable, but what I usually do is take the carb apart, check the diaphragms with pictures online to make sure I'm getting the right one, and then go from there. So that just comes off like that. We will just see if there's a gasket in there. There's no gasket between there and there. So then that bit that holds the throttle comes off like that, and that will just push through, and that will just hang there. That won't, oh it does it, yeah, it does actually fall off. So you missed that, actually that does come off there. So just to keep everything from getting lost, you just catch it there, it just pushes on like so. I'll put that to the side as well, just so it doesn't get lost, because while I'm waiting for parts I'll have to put these go off the bench. There's that behind, that has got a gasket on the back, and it's got a gasket that side as well, so it goes on like that. So now I'll get the fuel pipes off, just get that off. Oh, the black one at the back was broken off already. The carb is here, and look at that primer bulb. It's in a right state. One of the worst I've seen, to be honest. It's so hard and brittle. Just broke away. But the carb is a Walbro, so I can find the kit for that. So I will just take that apart in a minute, just so I know what I need, but that's after I've checked the piston. And yeah, there'll be the gasket and diaphragm in there, and whatever other bits and pieces. Probably, even if the kit comes with everything, I should just use the diaphragm and gaskets, and I won't bother with the needle valve and that, because I like to keep the original ones in, if I can, if they're okay. So yeah, seen plenty of these carbs on, like I said, the Makita, Robin, think also on the Tanaka ones, all sort of the ones from Japan back in around sort of the 2000s really. I think some of them have sort of changed and become different now, but around that time most of these machines were quite similar. So yeah, so I'm going to have a look in the piston hole. You probably won't be able to see in there. I'll see if I can show you in there with a torch. It looks okay from what I can see. Let me just turn it over a bit. This side is generally the side that does look okay anyway. It looks a little bit like it had some sort of dry old two-stroke oil on it. See in there, slightly discoloured, but I don't think it's marked or damaged. Nah, that's fine. I can see that's all right. So I'm just going to turn it around and then take the exhaust off. Then we'll have a look in that side. You'll be able to see better in that side anyway. And like I said, it's usually that side. If there's any damage, it's usually that side. I've just moved one exhaust bolt from down there, and I think that this probably is the other one. But we'll see in a second. Is there something else holding at the bottom? No, it just comes out like that. Actually, I didn't need to undo that top one. Actually, it didn't need to come out undone. But yeah, see, it just sort of clips in the front, then just sort of closes around like that. So now I've got the exhaust. I think that's probably the same size, which it is. It doesn't look too bad in there. It's a bit black, but not too bad. Yeah, if you look in there, I don't think that's too bad. It's a bit marked, but it isn't scratched. I think it's just been sat for a long time. That's what I think the story of this one is. And I think that piston's not too bad at all. So I did give it a little bit of a clean, but with a bit of carb spray, and I put some blue roll in there just to clean up a bit. And the compression feels good as well. And I sort of had a little look into the bore as well, and it looks reasonable. So I think this one's going to be a good one to fix up. I think it'll be okay. So I'm going to continue and do the carb. So all it is on this is 4 screws there. I actually believe that separates a whole lot actually. So what I'll do, I'll undo the 4 screws. So then 4 screws are undone now. I'll bring it closer, pull that off. Should all come off okay. And then that primer bulb will come off. I think I've probably got one of them, or a half decent one, if it's okay. And it's pliable as you press it. I'm happy to go with a second-hand one on there. Let me just get another screwdriver just to lever that off a little bit. There we go. So that come off like so. That's like that. Put that over there. Now we're to the diaphragm. Look at that, very crusty. That's needs replacing. Let me just break that apart, which I have, and there you got the rest of it. So what I'll do, actually while I've got that bit in my hand, take that off. It's all very crusty there. So that goes on like so. I'll leave that on at the moment because it will show me where. I don't know if that sticks on top. I think that sticks on top of the gasket. I think the gasket goes on first and then, yeah, like that. So the gasket goes on first, like so, and then the sort of that other piece goes on like that. I'll just put that to the side a minute, that one. And we've got that one, and that's the same. I think that's on top of the gasket. If I can separate them. It's definitely had its day. Yeah, got that off there. Go, not much in there. That all looks fine. I shall take it out to clean it, but even like I said, if it comes in a kit, I shall just keep the old bits in it. It'll just be the gaskets and the diaphragms I'll replace. So yeah, I'm going to take them bits off and go and match them up and see if I can get them ordered and get them quick, and then I can get this back together. But in the meantime, I can give it a good clean down, clean the carb, clean the exhaust out a little bit, clean the whole machine, do the fuel tank and the fuel pipes, put a new fuel filter in, and then I think the recoil's alright. Just let me have a quick look at that. I think that's okay. And then I'll see what the blades are like at the end, whether they need a sharpen or not. But yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Well, pretty sure it's going to be. All looks okay. I think it's just been sat around with old fuel and that in it, and it's just these sort of bits are disintegrated away. And if you look at that, very, very poor. There's sort of a sign it has been sitting around with old fuel in. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I think it's going to be fine. So I'll be back with you when the parts arrived, but you'll see that in a few seconds. So now I'm back on the Ryobi Hedge cutter again because it's been a few days. I've been waiting for this to come. Now it's come. It's the new gasket and diaphragm set. It's all there. Hope it's the same. I'll have a look in a minute. This is the old one. I'm just going to match it up now. So I'll do that off camera, and then we'll get the carb cleaned, get a new kit fitted, and then everything should be good with the carb, and then we can get it fitted back on. So yeah, the parts were all there in the kit. It was the correct one. I've actually got this primer bulb out of an old carburetor, which it's okay. So I'll go with that because the one in it, as I showed you before, it's had its day. So I'll just put this stuff to the side a minute. I'll get the carburetor cleaning bowl over and we'll get the carburetor cleaned, and we can get this fitted in it. So firstly, I'm just going to remember that black pipe is on the pipe that isn't bent. So I know which one goes where in the tank. It's easier like that because the pipe is still in the tank. It's going to need replacing, but I'll know which one it is. I'm going to take that needle valve out, which I'm going to do right now. Quite a small little Phillips type screwdriver on this one. But it's undone okay. So I'm just going to do that, let drop into the bowl. And make sure the spring goes in as well. Yep, that's in there. So yeah, I'll just take that off. If I can get it off. I need a tool to do that with. There goes a clip, but I've got another one. Might actually have to be cut if it doesn't just break up. It might do it. It's going to do it. Yeah, so that's off. So that part is all stripped down to clean, apart from the gauze. But that gauze is pretty clean. I don't think I'm going to pull that out because that is clear. And if I start pulling that about, I usually pull them out with a pick if I need to. But pull out with a pick, it sort of damages them a little bit sometimes, so I'm just going to leave that in there because it's fine, and a new one didn't come in the kit. So I'm going to leave that in there. I'll just blow through there and put some carb cleaner through there. So that bit's stripped down. This bit, I'm going to take out the throttle. Show you that throttle mechanism bit. I'm just going to, there's only 2 screws, one there, the same, just let it drop in here, and the other one, just got to pull the, oh, no, what we've got to do on that one actually is just undo the tick over. I'll readjust it afterwards. I'm not going to bother counting that because it doesn't need to be really. I can just do that easy enough. It's not like it's a carb actually, adjustment, high and low adjustment. It's just a tick over. So then I'll undo that one. There. And then that should just pull out like so. So yeah, that looks all good. I'll give that a clean. Looks like everything's off of that as well to clean that one. It's a bit grubby, but not too bad. So them 2 bits are done. There's that little bit there. I should just give that a quick little spray over. It's only plastic, it's not too dirty. And I might as well pop that old primer bulb out. Stay that. So that can go straight in the bin. So I think we're ready to actually give this a blast down with some carb spray. Get it cleaned off with the air. And yeah, just do the usual carb clean really. I'm not going to bother putting it for an ultrasonic or anything. I don't think it needs it. It doesn't look too bad like in that piece there. I showed you, it looked quite clean. It's just, yeah, another one that's been sitting around a while I reckon. So yeah, I'll just sort out a few bits and then I'll be back with you. So I'm organised now, I think. I've got some safety glasses, scratched ones, but they'll do. My carb spray with the straw on it. And I've got some air just to the side of me, the air line. So I'm just going to give this a blast down, get rid of the worst. Actually, I can show you through there. Then we'll go through there, and that should be where that gauze is. Blast out for the air now. So the compressor was rude and interrupted me, but I have just got that old bit of gasket off around there. I've just used a small wire brush to do that. So now I'm just going to give it this final squirt down. I'll just put that to the side. I will blow that off once more. Now let's get on to this bit. There's not a lot on here really. I'm going to probably do the same with that, just get the worst off, then blast it down. So there was also a little bit of gasket stuck on that, so I just give that a light wire brush down, and all the crud is off of that now. So it's all good. So while I was waiting for the compressor to build up, I did some of the other bits, the bolts and the little bit that holds the primer bulb in place. So I'm just going to give these a quick spray off because there's some rubber in that on them. I'm not going to go too much, just get the grime off. Get a bit of a spray. Same with that one. It's actually plastic this, but there might be a rubber ring in there, I'm not sure. But anyway, just give that a spray down just so it gets any gunk off it. There's a couple of screws in there as well. So I'll just get them blown off with the airline, and then everything will be clean to put back together. So we can get this car back together with the new diaphragm and gasket kit in it. And then, yeah, should be good to go. So now I'm going to get the car back together. Everything's laid out on the bench, ready and all clean and everything, so I can get it back together now. That piece fits in like that. It can, I think, go the other way. It can, but on this machine it went like that. So I'm just going to screw them 2 screws back in there, and that bit will be back in place. So yeah, they're tight. So there's that bit done. Now I can put on these pieces. You can see where it fits because you can see that piece there and that there matches up there. So that's all good. The same with this piece on top, wrong way around. So yeah, that's all good. I'll let that just put that to the side and let that sit there like that, because I need to fit the needle valve and everything back in. So they are actually over the other side still. So I'll just get them and then we'll get them back in. Then we can just put the rest together. So we have all the bits there now. As I always say, this is the most fiddliest bit. I'm trying to get my hands in the way too much, but what I do usually is get the pin and just push it through there like so. Just put that to the side, then balance the spring in where it has to go like so, then hook the needle valve in place, and then drop the whole lot in. Just go on in, just position the little pin, and we've got that little screw bolt, if you want to call it. Just make sure the screwdriver ain't got any crud on the end. It's magnetic ones, which does sometimes help and sometimes not, but it helps here because I'll be able to line that up. Let's bring you near a camera now. And that's nice and tight there now. So now that's all back together and you can see everything's in place and working fine. You just see the little spring in there. So that's all good. So that's perfect. So now all them bits are done, we're ready to put it back together. So I showed you earlier that piece there, gasket underneath, then that thinner piece on top. So that's all good. We can just put that piece now on top of that. A little piece that sticks out there will go in there. So we just match them 2 up. Good, all good. Then we have the gasket. Just make sure I get it the right way round. I believe it's like that. Yeah, it is, because that hole, the bottom there matches. So then we have the actual diaphragm, which goes in that way. I believe like that. Then we have that piece that goes, yeah, there's a whole little hole there that matches up with that little hole there. That can go the little tabs hold it in place anyway. There's them little tabs at the top there, 2 there. So that's all together, if it all go in. And then the last thing we have is the primer bulb, which I've already put in there. So that's on top. So now we put the 4 little bolts in. Swing up. Tight. Use your magnet. So you time up. So it's all tightened back together now, and that's the carburetor done. So it's got the new diaphragm and gasket set in it, replacement primer bulb, which is in good condition, and yeah, that should be ready to go. Yeah, everything seems good. So now I'll put that to the side because I've got to work on the tank replacing the fuel lines because they need doing, and it will need a new tank filter as well. So I'll get the hedge cutter back on the bench and get on with that part of it. So now my job is getting the old fuel lines out. That one is actually just a return one, and it will just pull out like so. So I'll just cut a length the same length as that, and yeah, that can go back in. So I'll get the fuel cap out, and what I'll do is pull that if I can. Snapped it. So I think I'm going to have to, might be able to grab it. Might be able to grab that. I have managed to grab that. So there we go. The old fuel line is out, and it's not good at all. The actual filter looks okay, but I'll put that other one in I've got on the bench anyway. It was a genuine Walbro one, so I imagine that would be the original one. So yeah, we'll get some new fuel lines in there. The tank is actually empty and very clean, just smells a little bit of old petrol, but hardly anything. So I haven't got to flush it out. I think that will all be okay. So I'm just gonna, yeah, thread some new pipe in there. I know how much has got to be in the tank. Got to be about that length in the tank, and the rest outside, so I can trim off it afterwards, but as long as I know I've got enough in the tank. Well, now I'm going to get these 2 pieces of fuel pipe in. This is a return one. I've cut a little bit of a point on the end of there so I can get that in easy. Check. I want that pipe to be quite thick because it holds it in the rubber nicer. Thicker the better, sort of clamps it in there. So this is the other piece, which is about the same thickness, yeah. So I've got to get this one all the way through actually, because I've got to pull it out the top. Not all the way through, but through far enough to pull it out of there so I can put the fuel filter on. Should have actually done this one first because it would have been easier at the back, but probably won't be too bad once I get started. Don't want to have to take that grommet out. Yeah, we've got that started. Could try and push that for a fair way. So that I can grab the end. Grab the right one. I think I've got the right one. Yep. So I've got that. Pulled that out. So I did put a bit of a point on the end of that. Don't need to be. It doesn't need to be on there now. This new fuel filter can go on. Fits on nice and tight. So now I can bring that back out. But I'm just going to check how much was in before. Then come a little bit more, but I wanted to have enough. Let's angle that back in there. I think it's gone in okay. So yeah, that was all good, and I'm happy how that's gone in. Do I just give it a little bit more, just just a tiny bit, but I think that'll be okay. I'm just gonna clean around there now, just give that a blow off and clean around there, then everything should be good. Now the fuel lines are done, I'm going to get the carburetor back on. Firstly, we have that little plate to fit on, then the carburetor will go on. So which way does it go? It goes like that. I've got these two pipes to put on. So that clear one, you can see there, it goes on the back. I'll just put that plate out of the way for a second so I get the pipes on first. That one's on. And then the return one. Go on there if it'll go over. Might need to be pushed on a little bit more, that one, but there's access afterwards, so it's not really a problem to do that afterwards. They're just in place now, so that will go like that, so it sort of protects the pipes back there, that plate. That goes like that. Then we have this setup. We have that piece there which the throttle goes into, well, the throttle cable, and that is the backing of the air filter housing. So wait, let's just get that like that. Can all push on together. I'll put the cable in afterwards. I'm sure that can go in afterwards. There is an O-ring in that bit, but that stayed in place. So actually it's probably easier just to put it all together like that, and then screw it all on together in one go. It gets snagged up a little bit there, but there's just an Allen key. Get that started. Not quite in position there, is it? Oh yes, it was. Anything else going in? So we'll get them tightened. I still need to get an air filter for it. Might have one, like I said earlier, I might have one. If not, I'll purchase one. I'm just going to quickly push that pipe on. I've got them, which I'll use for that, because if I use them ones, I can damage a pipe. Them ones shouldn't. So I'll just push that on just a little bit further. I think that's it. I don't think that's going to go on anymore. So that's definitely tight. Choke's all working. Throttle cable should just push through there, which it does. You can actually see that there. There we go. So I'll just, that will have to be adjusted, because if you remember I had to undo that screw. Just got to make sure that that's the right way around to take the little end of the pipe, which it is. Just got to put the throttle on so the pipe cable will slip in. We're right there. Check the throttle. Yep, it's working spot on. I will just screw that in just a little bit on there. Won't be right until I've run it up. I can adjust that then. I did undo that quite a lot, so. Yeah, it's just started to touch, so I'll leave that there. And I'll put this back on at the moment, but like I said, there's no air filter in it, but it'll be back in place. Yeah, so that's the fuel system all done. Carb clean, new pipes, new fuel filter, replacement primer bulb, diaphragm and gaskets in the carb. The only thing, like I said, is the air filter. And yeah, that will all be good, hopefully. Sure it will be. So what else have we got to do on it? Basically just a bit of a clean down and test it really, but I'll test it first, then we'll go for the clean down and then see where we're at. And there's the carb kit I used, Walbro, and that was a number. There you go. Yep, and that was the right one for this machine. So yeah, I'd love to test it now, but it's about 9:30 at night, so it's a bit late to be starting up 2-stroke machines this time. But you won't have to wait no time, because I'll start up tomorrow, so you'll see it in a few seconds, but I've got to wait till tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully everything is all good, and yeah, we can tick this one off the list as a done job. For some reason, this is take 2 because that was slipping. You probably saw as I was pulling it, that was slipping. It was just a little bit that moves up and down on the actual engine side, not in the recoil, actually on the engine side, which was a bit sticky. So I just put a bit of WD-40 on and that sorted that. Just prime it up again and see if it starts now. So that was a bit of a fail, but I think I know what it is. I did test it for spark, but I never actually took the spark plug out. I just took the lead off and put it on another plug and grounded it out, and it sparked. So I just sort of risked it really, that the spark plug was okay. I did disconnect that wire as well, just to check the switch was okay, and the switch made no difference. It didn't fire or anything. So I brought it back in the shed, took the spark plug out, and I think I found the reason. It's really gunked up wet, and I think the spark plug has no gap. Let's just blow that off. Well, it does have a little bit of a gap actually, but I think it was full of water as well. I think it had water in it. So what I'm going to do, I haven't got one of these, that's the number of it. I'm just going to give that a clean off with a wire brush, dry it off a little bit, and then see if it sparks by grounding it out, and then put it back in and see if it starts. But that's what I think was the problem. I think the cylinder is just full of gunk. So now we'll try it again. Spark plug's all clean and back in there, and it did spark when I ground it across. So that's all good. I've got it on choke. I'm just going to give it a couple of primes because it was quite flooded, but I think there was water in there. It looked like there was. Let's see. We're fired anyway. I'll give it a little bit. Why is it flooding? Well, it did fire and then it wouldn't start, so I took a spark plug out again, and it looked like it had sort of rusty water on, so I think there is water in the bore. So what I did, I took the spark plug back out, I might have said that already, but sprayed some carb spray in there just to disperse it a little bit, so because it keeps blocking up the plug, and again it's so wet, so hopefully this time it will start up and go. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to leave the choke off, I think. I'm not going to primer it. I'm just going to pull it. Well, I've decided to go with a new spark plug. This is just a cheap Chinese one that comes with a carburetor kit. It's all I've got, so I'm going to have to go with it. I'm going to put that in and see if it's any better, because I think the old spark plug wasn't great. So I will replace this one for a branded one if it goes all right. But hopefully it will do the job to start it and just run it up. If it actually had a name on it, if it had a torch on it, I'd stick with it. Because I think they're okay. But this has just got no name, brand name on at all, so I wouldn't keep that in it. But let's have a go. as you can see, it runs now. So the cheap Chinese non-branded plug did the job. The blades are rattling a bit. Don't know whether it's because they're dry, but what I'm going to do next, I'll show you. I'm just going to take that off because it could be empty of grease in there, and grease it all up, and that should quieten it down a bit. Just check everything's okay in there. But the blades seem to be rotating okay, so that's a good sign. So it says there, grease every 15 hours. I don't know if it's ever been greased or not, but there's a crack there, but that's just a moulding mark, I think. Yeah, there's one there as well. So yeah, and the easiest way, it has got the grease nipple on there, but I'm going to have a look inside just to check everything's okay in there. So I'm going to get it back on the bench, and then hopefully I can grease it up, and then I can call this sort of finished apart from putting a new plug in it and an air filter clean up. So I've now took the bottom plate off, and all it was full of was this manky old grease that wasn't really doing much. It just packed it around the sides. You can still see a bit there. I'm just at the moment just hooking it out, give it a bit of a clean, get some new grease in it. But look, it's sort of done that. It's not doing no good, and you can see it's a bit rusty looking in there, but the cogs look in good condition. I don't think there's any damage on them, so I'll give that a clean out the best I can, and then we can get some new grease in there. So I've cleaned it all up in there and there, as good as I'm going to. I think it'll be okay. I've got this grease here. That's what it is. That's what I'm going to use. It's just what I've got. It's high quality, multi-purpose grease, rated quite high. So, yep, I'm going to go with that because this is what I've got. I'm just going to basically pack it in there. I can't see any reason it won't do the job. And then what I'll do afterwards, I'll take the grease nipple out, and then I'll pack it in through there as well. It's just, I'll get some in here already to begin with. So just get some more in there. This way I know it's got a lot in already to start with. It'll save time, keep putting more grease in the grease gun, because the grease gun I've got is only small. So I'll just carry on doing that, getting in a total mess, but we are getting in there, and then yeah, I'll be back with you. So now I've just unscrewed that grease nipple out of there. I've got this grease gun, which is for greasing a chainsaw bar, but I'm just gonna pump it in there through that hole like that. So we'll get that back in. All that is a little 8mm. Just tighten that up. And that should run much quieter now. Sorry, there might be a bit of road noise because we're out the front, but I fixed this all now. I greased the gearbox for the blades, and everything should be good now. So I'll just pump it up. It's a cold start. Hand is on the exhaust if you want to see. Yeah, it's cold. Just everything like that. Push next to me. So rather than the trim, is actually a hack of the rosebush really, but it needed this winter cut back anyway.
My poor little rose.
It's okay. Any odd bits, straggly bits I've missed, I'll do in a minute. But I just wanted to show you it in action, and yeah, I think that's good enough. It's not a bad little tool, and it did the job okay. Both sides, holding it both ways, it was still revved okay and everything, so it didn't have any fuel starvation or anything like that. So yeah, I'm going to call that a done job. So hope you enjoyed the video of this, sorting out this Ryobi hedge trimmer, and yeah, I'm pleased with it. So I'll be along with another video again soon. So bye for now.